Hey everybody, welcome back. Alfonso speaks. Darrell Brooks trial. I got some popcorn here because your boy's hungry. Okay. Watching this trial, it's a lot. It's a lot. Whip up quite an appetite. But with me eating this popcorn, that gives you guys time to do what you need to do, which is, like, share, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications, share the video. Follow me on my social media accounts. Get yourself a channel membership so you can see all these videos as soon as they're uploaded instead of waiting for their scheduled release date. Just saying. Okay. Let's get serious. In the last video, we watched and went off on Don Woods once again. This time, I anticipate myself being much nicer. Because, as I mentioned in the previous video, I actually liked the grandmother. I did. It doesn't seem like it's her fault that this happened. I love how she starts off with an apology. Means the world to me. The victims, they can feel about that how they want, but it's just from somebody on the outside looking in. It was pretty cool to hear the words "I'm sorry, I apologize." Something we didn't get from Dawn. Instead, she tried to read a poem, which we're not listening to you read a poem. We're just not. I know why the cage bird sings. It wasn't even a poem for the victims. It was a poem for Darrell. Like, get out of here. Anyway, let's get into this, guys. Oh man, that popcorn was good. I might have to mute my mic and eat some more. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I don't want you guys to hear me chewing, but this popcorn's good. Let's listen to what Grandma has to say.
Good afternoon.
And I should say for the record that obviously Dawn Woods was the first speaker, and I have Mary Edwards. If you can let me know who's next to you, please.
Oh, there's no one next to me at the moment. Thank you. Okay. Are we good to go?
I need to know who's in the room with you because I saw them.
Oh, that's my husband.
Okay.
Okay, he's not in the room at the moment.
Well, all right. That's okay.
He's not here.
I just wanted to know I saw someone
problem
else.
with him being here?
No, he can be there since I know who it is. We'll just.
All right, it's my husband is here.
Will he be speaking or just you?
No, he's not speaking.
All right, go ahead. Thank you for being here today. And again, if I look like I'm looking.
I didn't even think about how significant it is that her husband's like, yeah, no, I'm not speaking. I never even thought about that. Wow. Like, this man didn't even want his face seen as a part of this. Darrell has truly brought shame to the family. He truly, truly has. Okay, back to it. I'm done with my popcorn, by the way, so I'm leaving my mic unmuted.
Looking to the side, it's because that's where the monitor that I can see you is located. So go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. For the record, my name is Dr. Mary Darlene Edwards, and I am not the wicked grandmother of the West. I am the grandmother of Darrell Edward Brooks Jr.
I forgot exactly why she said that, but I think there was some stuff being said about her. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she wanted to clear the air and, just basically start off by letting them know, like, hey, whatever's been said about me isn't accurate. And then I think the rest of her speech kind of, I do think it supports that. Again, a lot of people have a problem with her seemingly promoting her church. I can't say that I love that part. But it doesn't strike me as badly as, Don Wood's remarks.
And I asked to be here today for two reasons. First of all, from the bottom of my heart, I want to offer my sincere apologies to those who have been hurt so badly by what has happened here, this tragedy that has been caused by my grandson. I want to also apologize to the family of the little boy. I understand their name is Sparks, and to all of those whose lives have been damaged by this overwhelming tragedy. As a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, I want to give the family and those who've been hurt so badly the scripture: blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And I say this, please know that it's my prayer that my grandson will sincerely and humbly apologize and ask all of you and God for forgiveness for this horrible, terrible deed. Some of you have said that you will never forgive him. Please do not be like the man who drank the poison and hoped his enemy would die. Unforgiveness is a terrible disease, just like mental illness is.
That is the part. Okay, yeah. So there was one part that I remembered that I absolutely hated, and it was this one. This isn't really the time to lecture victims on forgiveness. Honestly, there really isn't a time to lecture victims on forgiveness. Um, and definitely not a time to keep bringing up this mental health thing. Of course, Judge Duro, in the end, you guys know, shuts all of that down.
Truly, there have been many losses because of this tragedy. Darrell's mother has lost a son. I've lost a grandson. Darrell's children have lost a father.
Well, they never had a father to begin with, so I think they'll be okay.
And Darrell has lost his mind and his life in the outside world. Darrell's behavior, including his voice, should get the attention of the powers that be, both near and far. Darrell has suffered from bipolar since the age of 12, and it was that disorder that caused him to drive through that crowd. It is my prayer that he will be treated for this illness and managed in a facility that addresses mental health concerns.
Okay, never mind. I did have a big problem with her speech. Okay, now I remember. I liked her speech because she started off with what was important: a genuine apology. A genuine apology. Now, she does end up bringing up the mental health aspects. She's like, bipolar made him do this, da 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 da, this and that, right? My issue with that, I guess, what I'll say is I'll give her some grace because it is very difficult to come to terms with the fact, and Judge Durrell even says this. It's difficult to come to terms with the fact that your family member that you've grown up loving, of course, she's known him since he was a baby. It's difficult, especially as a grandparent, to come to terms with the fact that this person that you love did this terrible, terrible thing. I can understand that. Okay. Um, I think the biggest difference. So again, we got to talk about the differences here. I give her some grace because this is your loved one. The difference between this speech and Dawn's speech is that Dawn completely blames society for the actions of Darrell Brooks. She's like, society didn't do enough to step in and help him before it got to this point. What Miss Edwards is doing is saying, Darrell needs to take accountability for this. He needs to apologize to the victims and to God for this deed that he has caused. But here's what I think is the root problem of why he did what he did. And I think it's because of this mental disorder that he suffers from. Okay, I disagree. However, this doesn't feel as egregious because you're not straight up saying, you're not blaming everything but Darrell. You're saying this is Darrell's fault, but here's why I think he did it. That I can accept more. Right. And I think that's important because I think two things can be true at once. And this is kind of like how I like to approach things as well. Like, okay, uh, you guys have heard me say plenty of times on this channel, I don't think people are born evil. I think evil is created. I think evil is molded. I have to think, right, that we can live in a world where we can say he's evil, he deserves everything that's coming to him. All of this is all of his fault. But why? What created the monster that ran through that parade? What factors created it? What what was in this formula that created this person that did this? And we can add bipolar as an element. I think that obviously the accountability is a big thing. I've spoken about that a lot. However, I tend to believe and feel, right, that you have to look at the other factors that fed into it so that you can identify them in your own life. You know, we talk about that a lot here. We also talk about uh, you know, these discussions about accountability. I have to believe that these discussions are being had outside of the Zoom call. So if they've had any conversations since, I'm talking Don Woods and Miss Edwards, his grandmother, if they've had any conversations about this situation since, I have to believe that the things that we talk about on this channel have come up. But maybe this wasn't the time that she wanted to talk about those things. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking, maybe I'm just, thinking the best of people, but I would hope that that's a conversation that happened. Like, hey, you know why he really did this, right? It's because you were not giving him any accountability. Every time anybody tried to give him accountability, because I can imagine what his life looked like. He gets in trouble with somebody else, Don comes and saves him. And it started off small scale with like maybe other family members or maybe even his sister. Uh, anytime somebody tried to hold him accountable, here comes Don to the rescue. I can see that happening. And I can see those conversations about that happening off the record, right? Like, this isn't the time and the place to air out the family drama, right? I don't know. There's something about Miss Edwards and her approach that if I take a step back and I look at it and I say, okay, maybe her execution wasn't the best, but I can feel the message coming from her that, like, hey, because she even goes on to talk about the things that her church is doing to address mental health. And so that I remember again, that's why I didn't have a big problem with her bringing up what her church is doing, because I'm like, she's talking about, hey, mental health is a big reason why this happened. So here's what I'm doing about it in my community in Detroit. Here's the initiatives that I'm doing. Dawn, on the other hand, hey, this is everybody else's fault. You guys didn't address anything. There's nothing about, hey, this is what I'm going to do in my community to ensure that this is something that's addressed. Here's what I've been doing to make sure that this is something that's addressed, right? Miss Edwards did that. Dawn did not. You're starting to see the picture that I'm painting here. You have somebody that is bringing excuses. Don Woods is bringing excuses. Miss Edwards is bringing reasons why she thinks this happened. And this is what I'm going to do about it to try to rectify this situation. This is what I'm going to try to do to make it better in my community. Because I couldn't save Darrell, but maybe I can save others. I can respect that a bit. You know what I mean? Like, I think all in all, I'm figuring this out in real time, right? Remembering in real time because it's been years since these sentencing remarks. This is what I had a problem with, and this is what I had a problem with Don Wood's speech. Sorry, and this is why I didn't have a huge problem with Miss Edwards, even though she was bringing up similar stuff. It just felt different, man. It just felt different. It felt accountable. It felt proactive. It felt like she was really about what she was talking about. Whereas Dawn, it just felt like she just wanted to do anything to get her son out of this situation, which again was ridiculous.
We must start with a younger generation. Finally, I'm 80 years old, and I have been an ordained minister for the gospel of Jesus Christ for 47 of these 80 years. If you look at my background, you will see that God has used my life to bring about positive change in multitudes of residents in the city of Detroit and beyond. I share this information not to boast. That is not my intention, but rather to let you know that I care about people and their well-being. I've spent more than half of my life helping what the Bible calls the least of these, AKA society's rejects. Since this tragedy, I have become a mental health coach. This will help me better understand this horrible disease, which has plagued my family for generations. Presently, there is a church in Detroit that is planning to establish a mental health clinic on the east side of Detroit. Without hesitation, I will support this effort and do everything I can to help those struggling with mental illness. Before I close, I just want to share with you some facts with regard to mental illness. And I got this from the government's mental health website. There's a myth that said mental health problems don't affect me. Many people don't feel like it affects them. That's a myth. It affects everyone. It's a common problem. In 2020, and listen to this, 1 in 5 American adults experience a mental health issue. 1 in 6 young people experience a major depression episode. 1 in 20 Americans lived with a serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disease, or major depression. Suicide is a leading cause of death in the United States. In fact, it was the second leading cause of death for people ages 10 to 24.
Was that true? Let me see. What was the leading cause of death in the USA in 2022? No, the leading cause of death was heart disease. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Where did suicide rank on that list? Um, it was 11th. So it was still pretty high, but it was far from the number one. Heart disease was number one. Heart disease has been number one for a while. Um, yeah, that's just simply not true. That's just simply not true. Um, yeah, sorry. That's false. Had to fact check that.
It accounted for the loss of more than 45,979 Americans.
That is true. That is true. The number is more like 49,000, but yeah. That's accurate.
in 2020. That's nearly double the number of lives lost to homicide. As a result of this great tragedy, I'm dedicated to living the next chapter of my life with a mental health awareness campaign. I have faith to believe that God will hear the voices of all of those impacted by this horrible disease, as well as the cries of the mentally ill. I thank you for this opportunity to share with you from the bottom of my heart, and my prayers will continue on for those who have been affected. God bless you all.
Okay. So, yeah, again, you can nitpick her speech, um, find different problems with it. That's perfectly fine. I think all in all, though, I just thought her speech was more of it was less excuse and more like this is the reason I believe that this happened, and here's what I'm going to do about it as a result. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like she was giving excuses. Dawn just sounded like she was giving excuses, and I hated that. I absolutely hated that. But Miss Edwards was a bit better. So let me know what you guys thought about the speech, sensing remarks. Um, Again, I'm like, some things I had a problem with, most things I didn't. And I think all in all, her message was genuine and pretty solid. Uh, but it wasn't enough to get Darrell out of 6 life sentences and 1,000 years. Not that that was her intention, but it just wasn't enough. So that'll be it for me, guys. Make sure you guys like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell on for notifications, get yourself a channel membership so that you can watch my videos as soon as they drop instead of the scheduled release date. Follow me on my social medias, at Alfonso McGrew Jr. on Instagram, at Alfonso Speeds on TikTok. You guys know what to do. I'm talking really fast because I've said this a million times already. Make sure you guys get it done. I love you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.